Hello, this is Mike, NoStressMike.com. Okay, what I want to talk about is blood. And it's going to be two different kinds of blood. One thing is blood as in relation. Your relation, it's blood. That's one kind. And another kind is going to be the blood. Blood of the weak, the misguided, and we the people, the patriots. And first thing I want to talk about is blood like family. I've already mentioned, and I don't want to. I hate going through all the time. New World Order, progressives, socialists, communists. I don't like naming all of them, so I'm just going to call them all like they really are. They're communist. Okay, so when I say communist, I'm covering all of this. Okay, now the thing is, like I say, the media is controlled by the communists, and just kind of like NPR on the radio. It's all communist propaganda is all. That's all they do. That's all they spout out is propaganda. So, but the thing is, what I wonder when I see, and I'll tell you, they do their I want to say their best work. The communists. What they do is they get college kids, and their minds. I know we like to think the college kids are they're the smart ones. They're our future, and all this is what we like to think about. But the reality is they're probably about the dumbest of all your whole age groups, some toddlers, infants, toddlers, developing, teenagers, and then you got the college kids, and then you got young people, young families, and stuff like that. Well, of all of them, college kids are probably about the dumbest, and that's where communists normally start. They get, and like I say, the professors, most of them are communist, socialists, whatever. And and they're teaching the kids how stupid they are. You need a diploma to get a job. Nobody ever talks about learn skills. Nobody ever talks about that. Instead of that, you need that paper. That paper's important. And so then now they really think, that's what makes them so stupid. They really think, well, look, I got a piece of paper. It says I'm smart. So, but the thing that really gets me more than anything is their parents. I don't know. Now my kids now are in their 40s, but when my kids were in college, and they started doing what these college kids are doing, getting up and leaving class for a demonstration about they're pulling together against these bad, evil things that are happening. I'd slap the shit out of my kids if they were doing stuff like that. They would bring so much shame, not only to my family, but to me personally. So, I got a leak in my butts. And so, I'm really curious about the parents on these kids. If they're allowing their kids to be like that, I'm wondering how weak-minded are their parents? Or are they just so busy trying to make a living? I just don't understand. I mean, if you saw my kids on TV on one of these protests, I would be so embarrassed. You know, so that's the part that just gets me. Now, another thing, for those of you who are smart enough to know anything about our U.S. Civil War, you heard that it separated families, brother against brother, and this type of stuff. And that's what we're going to be doing now. It's going to separate families. It's going to so blood will be separated. Friendships are going to separate. Neighborhoods will separate. There's going to be a lot of things like that that's going on, and these are things that I'm wrestling with right now. I'm even wrestling with them. My kids, they're not. You're not going to see them on any protests and stuff. But I'm not sure, and I could be wrong, but they're not patriots. They are, I think, would be the majority of we the people. And that is, they're not going to want to get involved. In their mindset, they're getting involved. They don't realize involved about losing their freedom or not. I don't know if they can think that far ahead. But, the thing is, in the Civil War, in the United States Civil War, see, we all had guns in the Civil War. And the thing is, but we were a farming culture. Let's see, I think at that time like 80 or 90% of the population lived out in the country. So they all had firearms, they all knew how to shoot, and I say 80% living out there. You know, you find more conservatives living out in the country than you find communists. Communists are collectives, and so I mean, when you're out here, you don't grow all your crops, so then you can share all your crops. You grow your crops or raise your livestock to profit. And with that profit, you improve your life. You, like we have here, we got generators when our electric goes out and stuff like that. In a collective, they don't care about us when the electric goes out. We still want our comfort even when the electric goes out. But collectives don't think like that. They're more concerned about, well, how about the majority of the people? They need, you know, they need your crops, your livestock. So, you know, hell with your comfort. Make sure you keep producing for them. And so there's going to be a difference. There's a big difference that we're going to have to wake up to. And I've talked about this in some of my 3-man militia videos where we may have to leave our area. And the reason I even came up with that was just thinking about, I went to the Alamo. And in the Alamo, there was, I don't remember, it was over 200 people at the Alamo. I was going to say Americans, we the people, but they weren't. I mean, these were people from all over the world came to fight for freedom. I think there was like 7 Texans at the Alamo. Over 200, and only 7 were from Texas, were considered themselves Texans. Everybody else was from all over. And that's why I say we may have to leave our area. In the movie Patriot, I even forgot his name, Mel Gibson, that's what it was. He had a good excuse. He didn't want to get involved. Why? Because he lost his wife and he had 7 kids. You know what I mean? So hey, he doesn't want to get involved. He doesn't want all this stuff to happen. And that was his good excuse. We're going to find a lot of people that are going to have good excuses not to get involved. When the blood is going to be letting, when there's going to be bloodshed, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to have excuses not to get involved. They're going to still want to reap the fruits of the blood from others. We're going to have that. That's a reality. And there's going to be a separation, like I say, of families and communities and stuff like that. And already, you know, you hear me talk about the city folk and country folk, you know, and northern folk and southern folk. You know, northern folk are dug in. You know, it's going to be a different story on them. The only thing you're going to get them out is going to be money. And that's what happened in the Civil War. And, you know, because they needed the factories running and stuff like that. And that's how they were able to get it going, in which the southern folk were more rural folk, more country folk. And they didn't have all the industry, and they didn't have all the money to back them up and all this kind of stuff. Well, and don't think this thing that we're getting ready to go in is going to be like that, because it's not. It's a communist takeover of the United States is in their mind, providing that people follow unconstitutional and immoral laws. And that's what I say. A law in the United States, a law isn't a law unless it is constitutional and moral. I also mentioned when I was in the Marines, getting ready to go to Vietnam and kill people, I was told at that time I was under no obligation to follow immoral laws. The Nazis did. When they killed the Jews, that was immoral. And they tried to say, well, I was ordered to. It didn't work. Because we have morals, even in war. And it's difficult to see those morals. That's why when people go to war, they have a hard time, because your morals are tested a lot. I travel around the world in places where they don't recognize our U.S. Constitution. Matter of fact, they don't even recognize morals. I still recognize the morals. I know they are under no obligation for the U.S. Constitution, but I do have a moral responsibility. And I stick with my moral responsibility. And I've taken steps to be able to back up my moral responsibility. And that's why I tell people you need to learn self-defense at all levels. Financial, emotional, physical, spiritual, and now I've had to add something else. Political. Because all the complaining and all the protesting and all this stuff has nothing to do with Black Lives Matter or women's rights or any of this stuff. They're all doing a political. They're all making a political stand, and that political stand is communism. Communism and capitalism don't go together. It's not going to work, never has, and it's not going to work, and it's sure not going to work here in the United States. This is Mike. NoStressMike.com.